Have you ever created a seasonal resource and then you look at the calendar and realize that the holiday's almost over and there's pretty much no time for anyone to buy your resource? Or on the flip side, have you thought of a really good idea, but it was so close to said resource, holiday being over, that it just wasn't gonna work out. You were not gonna be able to finish it by then. If so, then you're in the right place, because in this video we're gonna be talking about seasonal resources and planning out your year as a TPT seller. So specifically, if you are a TPT seller and you're looking at this upcoming year and you're thinking like, what should I do when, then we're gonna answer that question here. So we're gonna go through each month and talk about things that are trending, things that are seasonal, things that are going, and what you should work on. In the months that did not have a ton of holidays or not as many bigger holidays and seasonal things, I added in extra things that you can work on during those times. So just kind of know that whenever there's, less things going on, then you can work on more of those like pillar things. So before we get started, I do want to talk a little bit. So we are going to talk a lot about seasonal products. I love seasonal products. I fully believe in seasonal products. However, they are not for everybody all of the time, because the thing about seasonal products is they tend to sell pretty well, but only during a certain amount of time. Which means that you have to either have enough seasonal products to kind of last you the whole year, or enough evergreen products that the seasonal products are like the icing on the cake. And that's kind of how I want you to think about seasonal products. So seasonal products being things that relate to holidays or actual like seasons, or school seasons like back to school and testing and end of school year and that kind of stuff. So all of those things can be really good money makers, but again, they only sell when it is that season. So like we just had Christmas, and during Christmas, the Christmas stuff sells really well, but they don't sell so well in January. So if you do not have a lot of products or you're a newer seller, my suggestion would be to get a good amount of evergreen products. That means products that are good any time of the year, and then worry about seasonal products a little bit later, so that you can kind of boost sales, especially if you see a month that's kind of lower. You can boost your sales in that month by creating a seasonal resource for that month. I have a whole video talking about whether or not seasonal products are the good idea for you, an investment of your time. So I'll link that video down below and you can check that out if you want to learn more about that. Now, as we go through, you'll see that I typically try to get my products out at least a month ahead. In a perfect world, I would get seasonal resources or products out 3 months ahead of when they're actually needed, because in internet world, 3 months is just a really good amount of time, because in that 3 months you can like get things trending on Pinterest, and you can get some momentum going on TPT in the search, and you can put some effort into social media, and you can talk about it, and you can like kind of talk it up, and there's plenty of time for the internet to like realize that you have a product and realize who it's for and help you distribute it. So in a perfect world, 3 months ahead would be like the best thing ever. Personally, I'm just not that great. I'm just not that good of a person, And so for me, I shoot for getting things done about a month ahead, or like the beginning of the month. So like if I have something I want up for Valentine's Day, my absolute minimum is it has to be up by the beginning of February. I would prefer it to be up by January 14th. So that's kind of how I think about it, so that I know that there's plenty of time for those things to sell. The main thing about seasonal resources is you want to avoid having that like, oh, I just finished this product, let me post it. Oh, there's like a week. And so most people have already finished their lesson plans for said week, and there's not really a lot of time for it to sell, and then it doesn't sell till next year. And so there's that. And that's why I say at least a month ahead, preferably 2 to 3 months ahead would be even better, especially if you want to promote it, do some Pinterest pins, do write a blog post, make a video. All of those things require even more time, so you need even more time to work on it. But all of that said, I'm shooting for like a month ahead. So we're gonna go through things that are seasonal and trending first, and then we'll talk about kind of what to work on each month. I will also mention that there is a freebie associated with this one. So there's a whole, like, everything is written out for you. I will link it down below in the description. It is part of my goal setting course. I was already planning to make this, and then I made it for the goal setting course, and I was like, perfect, now I already have it. And so also, if you are looking to plan out your year and it is currently January or December, you can check out the goal setting course where we talk about planning out your year and all that stuff in great detail. I will link it down below, but it does close at the end of January. So do be aware, if it is after January, you will not be able to join until next year. So All of that to say, let's hop on into seasons and trending things on the interwebs. So January trending things are winter, so think snowmen, snowflakes, anything snow related is pretty good. New Year's and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I don't put a lot of stock into New Year's because New Year's, the actual holiday of New Year's is over break. So people really only do it like that first week when we get back. So that's just my personal opinion. Also, I'm gonna mention that these are all US holidays since the majority of TPT sellers are US based. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. You're welcome to use other countries as well, but that's what we're talking about in this video. February is Black History Month, so anything related to, you know, again, Martin Luther King or, you know, any famous Black, so like I teach music, so I usually sell a lot of like jazz resources in February and stuff like that. Groundhog Day is the very beginning of February. Valentine's Day, President's Day, leap year. The Super Bowl is typically in February. Also do note that the Super Bowl is trademarked, so don't actually say Super Bowl, but you could do like football themed activities, you know. Leap days every 4 years. And then also Lunar New Year changes between February and January, so do be aware of that. It moves around because it is based on the moon and not our calendar. In March, things that are trending are like spring resources. St. Patrick's Day is in March. That is a huge deal here where I live. It is Women's History Month, so, you know, famous women that you can highlight that are related to your subject would be good. March Madness, but again, trademarked, so don't do March Madness, but maybe like basketball. Spring break is also in March. I also included breaks so that you just kind of can see where things are. Spring break is in March, which means that oftentimes March is a little bit lower because you might have, you know, a week where all of your buyers are on spring break, and that's okay. I see a lot of people in March like freaking out. They're like, why are my sales so low? I'm like, because people are on vacation. And when I'm on vacation, I'm not buying anything. So like, just, you know, be aware of that. That's why I added those in so that you could see, you know, all of the things that you may want to be aware of. In April, there's still more spring. April Fool's Day is the first day of April. Ramadan is around this time of year. Palm Sunday and Easter and Passover, those are all related around this time of year. Although again, sometimes those are in March. Sometimes they're in April. I stuck them in April, but they do move around, so just, you know, be aware. Earth Day and then testing is typically starting in April. At least where I live in Georgia, we test in April, so at least, you know, start thinking, you know, what you could do for that. That can be a really good one as well, you know, fun things you want to do, or, you know, just whatever. All the things. In May, I couldn't find a ton of stuff, but it is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, so you might want to highlight Asian culture or Asian famous Asians in your content area. And then also May is getting ready for the end of the year, and so any like end of the year activities tend to trend in May. June is also the end of the year, so in the US, typically the end of the school year is either May or June, just depending on what, like where the districts are. I'm always completely done before May is over, but our district gets out super early in comparison to other ones. So it could be anywhere from the end of May to the end of June that people are getting out of school. So summer break activities, summer school activities, you know, summer packets, like that kind of stuff would be trending in June. And then also do be aware that summer break will affect your TPT sales in June and also in July. In July, there's not a ton going on, at least until you get to the very end. Like that first week of July, don't expect, like expect zero to show up. And then if you get a sale, be happy. But summer break is really affecting sales in July because pretty much everyone is in the US is on break in July, because some schools are, you know, get out in May and start in August, and other schools get out in June and start in September. Do be aware, however, that like my school, since we get out really early and we start really early, the teachers go back at the end of June. So I think I have to go back like the 27, something like that. And so there are people who are starting to think about back to school at the end of July. And so in July, things like summer school, possibly, classroom decor and beginning of the year stuff would start to, you know, see a little bit of an uptick there. In August, we start thinking about back to school. Again, my kiddos come back like the first week of August, and so we're in full back to school mode here. Orientation night, classroom decor, organization, first day of school activities, that kind of stuff is what you are looking at in August. September is still a lot of back to school stuff because, again, some people start in August, some people start in September. And so in September, we have back to school. You also have Hispanic Heritage Month, which is half of September and half of October. Super funky, I don't know. And then Rosh Hashanah is also in September if you're looking for more holidays. October is Hispanic Heritage Month, the other half. Fall stuff, so think pumpkin, everything. Halloween is in October at the very end. And then Diwali is another holiday that happens either October or November. So I stuck it in October. So if you want to include that, then that would be there. November is Native American Heritage Month, as well as Thanksgiving, Veterans Day. Hanukkah is sometimes in November, sometimes in December, depending on the month. And Thanksgiving break is the 4th week of November here in the US. So we will, like in the US, we get, you know, 3 to 5 days off during that. So like our school's usually out for a whole week. And so that week you can expect, again, basically zero because people are on vacation and spending time with their families, and that's fine. So that's why I added those in there so you can just keep them in mind. In December, you have Hanukkah if it wasn't in November because it moves around. Christmas, Kwanzaa, winter things, so snowmen, snowflakes, all that kind of stuff. And winter break, which again will affect your sales a lot because pretty much everyone is out like the last 2 weeks of December. And those are pretty much all of the trending things. Now, I'm gonna go through and talk through each month and suggestions on things you can work on. Of course, you do not have to do all of these. You don't have to do any of them. You can like pick out of what I'm suggesting to decide what you want to work on and, you know, what you want to have up. And it's all gonna depend on how quickly you create resources and how many resources you want to do and all of that kind of stuff. So you also, by the way, in this freebie that I mentioned, there's the seasonal example and my suggestions, and then there's also seasonal examples and blank. So if you would like to write in your own things there, you can do that. So in January, things to work on, evergreen products. I love to post a couple of evergreen products in January. I just feel, I don't know, maybe it's just like a new year thing. I just feel like I should do that. Black History Month, Valentine's Day, Groundhog Day, Leap Day, and content about classroom management because that is a hot topic in January because typically this is when the kids start going a little bit crazy. And then focusing on like any core content that you have and thinking through like, what is my core content? Core content being like the most important things to you. So you can pick one of those holidays if you want to. You can not pick them, you know, whatever you want to do. In February, you can work on things for March, so like Women's History or St. Patrick's Day, and then also working on that core content again, classroom management, maybe continuing that as well. In March, start working on spring if you haven't already, Easter if you haven't already, and then reviewing for testing. And then also things like active learning games, because I don't know about you, but my kiddos are usually like bonkers in the weeks right before spring break. I think that's why we have spring break, because they just get so crazy. And so active games where they can get some of that energy out while they're doing things would be great. Now, again, you have to come up with something. So if you can't think of anything, that's totally fine. In April, again, active learning games. Start thinking about end of the year activities and making those Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month activities. And then also like easy activities that kids can do after testing. So typically if they're doing standardized testing in the morning, the teachers will typically pick like review games that are fun or just things that are easy. So crossword puzzles and word searches and coloring sheets and that kind of stuff, because they, you know, spent so much time focusing on testing that now they kind of like get a little bit of a break. So I think either, you know, again, review and games and that kind of stuff, or things that are like easy and can kind of give them a break. In May, end of the year activities and end of the year content. So when I say content, I mean if you have, you know, social media or blog or YouTube or podcast or any of that kind of stuff, you know, that kind of thing. Review games and activities. Oh, and by the way, I did those content as well. So talking about like, you should post a blog, you know, in May, because it's going to be relevant in June, really. So again, just shoot with content about a month ahead. And then with like social media, you can do it more in the moment. Anyway, that to say, end of the year activities, end of year content, review games and activities, classroom decor, because teachers actually start shopping for next year's classroom decor at the end of this year, which I think is hilarious. And like, I had sold a couple classroom decor things, and then I saw like some of my teacher friends eating lunch, and they were like looking at classroom decor and teachers pay teachers, and I was just like, this is hilarious. I don't know, I've never done that before. And then summer activities. So those are the things to work on in May. In June, look at classroom decor and back to school content. Again, your sales are gonna be very, very low. And partially because of that, I would suggest working on things for like new teachers. So new teacher content, you know, what tips for new teachers and ideas for new teachers. If you have an email list, June is a great time to do a new lead magnet that you can start promoting at the new school year. And get all of that in there. And also in June, talking more about like your core content and really things that are like really important to your business. In July is going to be almost pretty much, actually in July, do the exact same thing. Because again, you're not going to make any money. No one's buying anything. So just get prepped for back to school. In August, think about back to school content. So rituals, routines, procedures, classroom management, organization, back to school activities, all of that kind of stuff. And then also you can start working on Hispanic Heritage Month activities. In September, work on Hispanic Heritage Month, fall routines, and classroom management content, because again, we need that going into the new school year. And also, you can do Halloween in September. You could also do Halloween. You can kind of bleed it, since Halloween's the 31st of October. You can kind of get away with doing it a little bit in October if you post it like the first or second week, as well as that, you know, fall, Diwali, because that's at the end of October, Native American Heritage Month, and Thanksgiving. So all that stuff that is going to be in November, you want to get done in October. Then in November, you're working on Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, easy activities for right before break. So you know that like day or two right before winter break where like nobody's doing anything, that kind of stuff, you know, coloring sheets, word searches, games, and so on. Sub plans, because this is usually when, you know, before COVID, the flu would break out, but now we have COVID, so we just have all of the things now. But, you know, usually I see an uptick in sub plans being purchased in around November. And then Thanksgiving break packets, because I know that at least my school sends home packets at every break. So there's that. And then in December, sub plans again, winter activities, easy activities for right before break, winter break packets, and then active games and anything that can keep the kids engaged until you get to said break. So that is everything that I have. I'm sure that I have missed things. With these, I'm really looking at making sure that any holiday content is out about a month ahead. And then in addition to that, if there's months that are lighter on the holidays, that's when I added in things like your core content or evergreen products and that sort of thing, so that you can think through like, oh, there's not as much stuff to prepare for right now, so I can work on like the main things for my business, and that's a good thing to see as well. When it comes to, again, posting, you want to post your products at least a month ahead, I would say, to shoot for. It's not a hard and fast rule. I don't always do that, but there it is. And I do try, but I do not always succeed. And so then with content, like long form content, so blog posts, YouTube videos, that kind of stuff, you also want to post those early if you can. So blog posts, again, if you can do 2 to 3 months ahead, that's going to be best, but at least a month ahead is going to be great. YouTube is a little bit more in the moment, but still do it early enough that people have time to watch and read and all that stuff. I will mention that if a holiday's in the middle of the month, I see that most people start thinking of it at the beginning. So like Valentine's Day is coming up, that's February 14th. So typically like February 1st is when people start thinking about that. So make sure your content is up before February 1st. Same thing with like St. Patrick's Day is, you know, March 17th. And so it kind of, since it's in the middle, same kind of thing. When they're at the beginning of the month, it's a little bit wonkier, but I do notice that trend. With social media content, you want to be, and also emails, you want to be a lot more in the moment. So if you are, you know, posting a new blog post about Valentine's Day, but it's, you know, the first week of January, then no one's gonna want to read it. So wait to promote it until it gets a little bit closer. That way, you know, people are aware. You can still do it, you know, again, 2 to 3 weeks out is probably fine. But if you do it, this happened last year where I saw Halloween costume idea reels in like August, and I was like, what is wrong with you people? I am not thinking about Halloween right now. Like, no. On social media and in emails, people are, it's a lot more in the moment versus products and blog posts and that kind of stuff, so that you want to do a little more closer to said holiday. Still do, you know, try at least a week or 2 out to be talking about it so that you have time for people to make purchases and make plans. So yeah, click the link down below to grab this freebie. You can also use that blank one so that you can decide what you actually want to work on, because chances are you're probably not going to want to or care about all of these holidays, and that's fine. I wanted to give you lots of different options to go out there. I will say that if you, especially if you have less products, maybe focus on seasons, like actual seasons, like fall, spring, winter, summer, or longer, like month-long celebrations. So like Hispanic Heritage Month or Black History Month, or end of the school year, beginning of school year. Those things are longer versus like Groundhog Day is one day, you know? So like one day people might talk about it for a week versus like 3 months of winter. And there's a very big difference in how you're gonna sell things with that. So also bear that in mind as you are working through this and figuring out what you wanna do this year. Anything that I left out, you can totally leave down below, because I'm sure that I did not get every holiday. I really researched and like tried to get as many as I could, but I'm sure that I left something out. So let me know down below in the comments, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.